Greetings, one and all. Lovely to see you. So yeah, I was just had some thoughts coming up about sort of the thread of this particular topic I was going to bring up with the meditation practice, and then this idea about sort of personal development, people meditating for personal development, and which is actually quite plausible in a sense, because as people develop the meditation practice in different ways, it affects areas of your personality that you can actually see. You can see the changes within yourself as time passes on. So, I mean, how can we actually say something like this, that meditation changes the character, the disposition of a person in time? So, with the actual, when it comes down to, say, tin tacks, with the personal experience with the meditation process, that, you know, one of the, even as simple as the meditation practice is, it has some quite significant effects on the personality. Just this principle of, say, retraining of one's attention on the meditation object of one's choice, you know, bringing the one's focus back to a particular say point, or, you know, within a particular parameter. You know, how can we say that actually affects the say, like, a large part of the personality? So one thing that we do, you know, the most obvious things that we see, as the weeks and months go by, is the increasing sense of say, like, peace, and say peace of mind, and emotional stability, and say tolerance, sensitivity and kindness, increasing awareness. So, you know, just this principle of being able to focus, this retraining of one's personal attention, has this broad range of effects on the personality. So, I mean, how does it actually come about? Something so basic, just this sense of focusing on the meditation object. I mean, how does it give rise to these more, say, sophisticated changes in the personality? So, when we actually look at the character, the underlying character of a person, the person's mind contains many, different forces and energies, and dispositions, likes and dislikes, and so gradually over time, with the practice, the person, they refine down those specific, say, habits and dispositions of mind. And so, just a most obvious one is a person who's, like, prone to anger may, or very likely, increase in, say, like, tolerance, and increase in greater, say, patience and emotional stability over time. Because one thing that we see in the character is that the mind, can run to extremes. You just listen to the I'd say, like, the 7 o'clock news, or the latest national broadcasts around the world, and there's some really extreme say, behaviours or events going on around the globe. And what we see in Syria at the moment. We're seeing incredible violence, aggression, persecution, murder, and social abuses committed by that particular governmental regime. So the principle, this underlying principle of increasing, say, emotional stability, reducing the the extremes of the mind, how far the mind can actually go. Because one of the key principles is this principle of restraint, which is involved in that in this process. And maybe restraint might be not a particularly maybe pleasant word for the average person in society. You get this sort of indication of possibly being not necessarily life affirming, limiting, sort of this kind of sort of party pooper type of mentality where people just can't do what they like and can't have as much fun as they like, go where they like, and sort of express their views freely within the particular society that they exist. So as the meditation develops and one's actually retraining and restraining attention from just from going to any particular thought or any particular feeling, or going to excessive thinking or extreme, being carried away by extreme emotional states of mind. So by the stability of the focus carries over into one's emotional world. Because I was talking with this principle with Ajahn Brahm, and he was saying he discusses this principle. So for example, he has to give a lecture or maybe a major talk at university. This principle comes up in relation to could be like, say, freedom of expression, freedom of the individual. Why should people need to be restrained in general society? So as you limit the exuberant behaviour within the mind in itself in the meditation by this retraining the focus, that just through that restraint, that stability, it carries on into one's emotional life, and that underlying principle of restraint can essentially, because when you look at the very, very, say, serious issues which are going on around the globe, a large part of it is concerned with the boundaries, the limits for morality, essentially not set. People are crossing the line. They're torturing, persecution, the murder of other individuals, exploitation, and all the rest of it. And so this principle of restraining the mind in the practice and having this general effect of providing, say, emotional stability, it's quite plausible. It's got benefits, and you can just tie that in within the whole framework of say, morality. But without getting too sidetracked, what we'll do is we'll just try a range of say, different perceptions that you can, say, work with. Because the vast majority, especially with the Buddhist practitioners, you're interested in developing more, say, positive, optimistic states of mind, and it's something that that we develop, or we need to develop actually as a school, because this path, with this path of developing the mind, it can throw up all sorts of different states and thoughts and views and opinions. So we have to actually work with these things and try to possibly try to keep the mind in harmony and in balance and actually in line with the path to the best of one's ability. So this whole business with the manipulation of perception, so you see that quite clearly. So for example, when we develop the loving kindness, these four key areas within the Brahma Viharas, the loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy and equanimity. So you're actually you're manipulating your thought processes in a sense to generate an attitude, an emotional quality. I think things like especially metta and compassion, you see them quite quickly. They're very obvious, the results that you get. But you can do other things like so. For example, we'll start with one that just came up in my mind. So what I'll do is we'll just try something. We'll just try like a range of say positive affirmations, just a slightly different style as we move from one to the other, which have an effect in different areas. So with the say the meditation instructions, most of you have done enough practice in the past, but just sit with your back nice and straight, head upright but comfortable. If possible, hands in the lap. Just make sure you can breathe into the full chest, and we'll start with we'll just go say straight to the around the we'll just focus, just use a reasonably sharp but comfortable focus around say the mouth. You can go to the full chest, but some people find it may take too long to actually settle down, and as long as you feel emotionally you feel comfortable with the more sharper focus, the level of peacefulness tends to increase in a shorter period of time. So if you watch the breathing cycle, say like around the mouth and the lips, and then you watch the breath, you just focus on that point around the mouth, and then you watch. You can still be quite aware of the breath on the periphery of that area. So we'll just start with we'll just sort of experiment as we go along. I want you to imagine a particular person who is not necessarily a happy person. It's say like a miserable, unhappy, negative person, and just bring that person to mind. Say like it could be like say person, for example, say like William. Even though you know them as a fairly reasonably negative individual with possibly a bad attitude. Just imagine that particular person is, say, like happy in nature. Say William or Denise is happy or is happy in nature. Just space the words out with the breathing cycle so it's comfortable. It's relaxed, and it's just a way of manipulating perception. You can change the way you look at things, because we get people, especially with the meditation, we get people who come up in the mind, and we may think that this particular individual has maybe a degree of ill will towards us, and it may not necessarily be the case whatsoever. And you can actually manipulate this perception. You can imagine that person is happy and positive in nature, and then you curtail, you counteract the way you react when that person actually comes up in your mind. Because, so for example, even if you've got someone you don't particularly like, when you imagine that person is happy, so like is happy and smiling, that you don't get so adversely affected. You don't feel you don't get like a bad reaction when this person comes up. So choose the person of your choice. Just make sure you just time it comfortably. with the breath, and maybe we'll move through, say roughly every 15 minutes or so. And just say that silently in the mind, the person of your choice is happy in nature. And then just watch the mind quite closely while we experiment as we go along. As this meditation develops, just see if you can see a change in your attitude towards this particular individual. So we'll move on to another perception, another slightly positive perception, and use this mantra formulation. Nature is beautiful. So you can split the words up as you breathe in. You can say the word nature. Breathe out. Leave a space. Is beautiful. So you've got this kind of relaxed timing sequence, and then do that for the next 15 minutes. mind is still being disturbed by different thoughts and feelings, just stop for, say, for 20 to 30 seconds and investigate that state of mind. And because as you're understanding, your awareness of that experience increases, the mind tends to relax and let go to a small degree. So move on to another perception of way of looking that you might find useful is this mantra formulation, thinking is empty. So just do the same thing again, time it with the breath. Thinking is empty, to develop this attitude of, say like detachment towards the thinking process. So finish off with another mantra with a positive connotation. This one, radiate confidence. So as you breathe in, say the word radiate. Breathing out, leave a space. Breathing in, confidence. So just do that in a very relaxed way with the breath for the rest of the sit. So we're coming towards the end of the session. Just see, reflect back and see if you actually see any change in your attitude, with this manipulating of perception, the way you look at things, the way you look at yourself. You can just use that as a skillful means to adjust your attitude on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis. So I'll ring the gong 3 times. You can open your eyes when you're ready. Did anybody have any questions on the meditation at all? No? Okay, we'll finish up.